Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers, welcome. So, I wanted to cover a trending topic and to share some insight on Pastor John Gray's cheating confessions. And I wanted to discuss a very common struggle of adultery that many men have in their marriages. Now, for those of you who don't know, and this topic was touched upon and briefly discussed over at Hypergamous Hive, but for a bit of a backstory, and for those of you who do not know who this hypocritical man is, Pastor John Grizzly Bear Gray, who is 47 years old and is currently the associate pastor for Joel Osteen's Lakewood megachurch in Houston and is the lead pastor of the Relentless Church in Greenville, South Carolina, has once again, for the second time around, publicly embarrassed and has publicly humiliated his wife, First Lady Aventa Gray, in the gossip tabloids with yet another cheating scandal, and for not being able to keep his Holy Ghost filled lustful ways in his pants after embarrassingly being extorted and blackmailed with new cheating allegations of an inappropriate relationship with a Jezebel spirit by the name of Mary. And this time around, the serial cheater, once again in a videotaped, sermonized diatribe, has apologized to his wife and family for his poor decision making, and he has confessed to his second round of disrespect and his indiscretions to his church family. And according to his words, he is receiving extensive counseling, and that other pastors in his saved and sanctified inner circle are helping him to tackle his personal issues. Now, this is Pastor John Gray's second time around at being caught at the cheating rodeo. And in the past, he has admitted to struggling with fidelity due to being abused and violated in his childhood. And he has admitted that the childhood violations have contributed to his low self esteem, his poor self image, and his low self worth. And his wife, Aventer, in the past has defended her family name. And in spite of the ridicule that came from the court of the public opinion, she has in the past defended her husband at his lowest moments. And she has publicly stood by her husband's side in support of his confessions and his admittance of guilt. And as a wife, she has been battle tested and is now once again in a position where her one sided loyalty is being put to the test. Now, it has always been my opinion to treat marriages as a sacred union of where two are united as one, but Pastor John Gray is on an island where he sees himself as one. And in my opinion, he needs to fall back and he needs to resign himself and he needs to step down from the public mantle of the pulpit and he needs to address whatever broken little boy issues that are the driving force behind his need to self sabotage and implode, and he needs to address the driving force that is causing him to self destruct on such a large and grandiose scale. And he needs to work through his issues with a highly recommended licensed therapist. And until he addresses his deep seated issues, he will continue to live a fraudulent life and a hypocritical life, and he will continue to lie to himself and his wife and his family and his congregation, because as it stands, he is in the death grip of his ego, and his inner lack and his inner voids are causing him to lose the value that he has built in his marriage. And he is behaving like an immature, low value man and a dusty and reckless pastor who has nothing to lose. And that is why this is a situation of a man who is struggling with worthiness. Now, I need to address that Pastor John Gray's cheating has absolutely nothing to do with his wife, Aventer, and has nothing to do with what she did or didn't do. And when a person is a serial cheater, that is usually a sign of a person who struggles with the concept of monogamy, which is a very common struggle. And in my feminine opinion, it is not a wife's responsibility to help build her husband's self-esteem or to heal her husband's childhood trauma. And it is not her responsibility to assist her husband into getting his manhood together, because that is Pastor John Gray's responsibility. And Aventer made a huge mistake, and I want you to listen carefully. She made a huge mistake by publicly standing by her husband's side and endorsing his weaknesses and his disrespect, because she made the common mistake that many wives make by offering her husband mothering when a wife's only job is to stand firm in her womanhood. And some of you religious folk may be triggered to hear this, but wives are not mothers, and a wife's number one priority is nurturing her small children, if she has them, with unconditional love and keeping her femininity and her womanhood intact. And some of you may be offended by this notion, but it is not a wife's job to be a mother to a grown man. The minister of Meatloaf's responsibility is to protect his wife and to keep her and his family safe from harm. And he has failed miserably at his responsibility as a man. And he has exposed his wife to nothing but shame, embarrassment, being unprotected, and grief. So it is not a wife's job to be a surrogate mother to a man who is clearly acting out. A wife's job is to value her womanhood, her self worth, her health, and her femininity, and to model those things to her children, particularly if she has a daughter. So, Pastor Porkchop needs to grow up and he needs to get his life together, and he doesn't need to give his wife another Lamborghini. Aventer needs to give her husband the gift of her absence so that he can feel the burn and the pain that life's lessons are working overtime in trying to teach him. Because clearly this man has not evolved or learned from his last affair, and clearly this man is not currently fit to lead. And his poisoned ego, as it stands, has a death grip and a chokehold on his spirit. Now, no man is perfect, but once a husband gets caught cheating twice, that is a sign of a man whose maturity is not ready for the accountability and the responsibility of being a loyal husband and a fully equipped father. And Mrs. First Lady Aventer has some tough decisions to make because she can no longer publicly or privately breastfeed her man-child husband, because when a woman steps onto the throne of mothering her man, she will always put herself in a position where she will end up sacrificing herself. And when a woman sacrifices herself for a man, she will never have that man's respect, because a man will only respect a woman who walks away. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. Cheaters will be cheaters, and Pastor John Gray clearly does not respect his wife Aventer, nor does he take his marriage vows seriously. So, ladies and lurkers, is Pastor John Gray making a mockery out of marriage and the pulpit? And should First Lady Aventer give her husband his walking papers, or should Aventer stand by her husband's side through religious thick and thin? And should a congregation support a man who cannot handle the pressure that comes with being a leader and a man of God? And how many times can a husband cheat on his wife and expect her to grin and bear it? And finally, should cheating always be a deal breaker in marriage, or should a marriage always be till death do us part? So leave your thoughts and your comments in your conversation below, and stay tuned for more discussions to come, and I will catch up with you ladies and you lurkers in the next one.